I was just going to say, it's been a wild little week. So thank you, Jessie, for being patient and getting some of the gear set up.
Yes.
It's always on the road and moving stuff. So
You are busy. And you had a good day to drive from Winchester. It's a pretty day.
Yeah.
It's supposed to like 80% of chance of rain tomorrow and Friday. So
I'm glad we did it today.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to have today off. It's really nice.
And which is an easy drive too. I mean, some people say, oh, it's in Winchester, but it's like Winchester from Lexington is like going from like St. Matthews to Middletown in Louisville.
It's not, and
It's not a big deal.
I actually avoid the freeway usually, and I'll just go down 60 because it's
That's what I
a
do.
straight shot, and it's so pretty.
I was going to say, and it's beautiful to drive
it's
down
really
that way.
pretty, yeah.
It is really pretty. I wish we need a more communal thing.
I know.
I'm
Yeah.
like getting like
We should.
Yeah.
We'll figure that out for next time.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just go to your shop and do that.
know.
right?
I thought
Yes.
about doing that, but then I had signed up before we were closed on Wednesdays.
Oh,
we
got it.
could have, because we would have been.
Well, we'll
I don't
do
know,
our
we're doing
follow up
enough here, I
there
think,
for
but
sure. But with Brandon, we were talking about kind of a update, but Winchester is booming. You guys are new. The last time we were in Winchester, we taped live at the Engine House, Pizza Parlor, Chad Walker's space, and we need to get back. And so tell us how long, because you've got a big story though. Like you're not originally from Winchester.
No, I'm originally
Like we teased Chad, the mayor of he's not really the mayor, but we tease him. He's kind of born and raised.
Yeah, I'm born and raised was in California. So I was living just outside the Sacramento area, kind of a bit bigger version of Lexington. And my best friend moved out here a bit before me, and I think I had that question of like who would move to Kentucky or who would live in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And the more I looked into it, I was like, well, maybe I'm the kind of person who would live in Kentucky. And that's probably like my most common question I
What
get.
started that? Like what was that shift? Who in the world would live there? And then now it's starting to like
I don't
creep
know.
up.
What was the first aspect of Kentucky when you were looking at Kentucky that made you kind of have that feeling?
Well, that's a pretty funny story. So there's a show on Netflix. The name is going to escape me right now, but it's about these like normal people who almost got away with these like heists. And there was one episode that was set in Kentucky, and it was a guy who had worked at a distillery, and he was stealing Old Pappy bourbon and stuff. And I remember in one of the interviews, someone had said, in Kentucky, there's the law, like what the government can tell you, and then there's what people will actually follow, or like there's a little more of a like we want to do our own thing and kind of speak up for ourselves, or that sort of thing. And California was just getting so much of like very controlled, and I'm a very live and let live kind of person, and I'm just kind of trying to do my own thing and raise my kids and that sort of thing. So that was just a silly little line in a show was kind of what sparked it a little bit.
That's cool. Almost like that entrepreneur spirit is here, which I really think it is.
Yeah, I think so. And then just looking at, how I want to raise my kids, and I looked at like how labor costs here are so much lower than most of the country, and just coming from California, being able to stretch money more here. And California is so oversaturated with third wave coffee, and Kentucky felt like it was a little more, it's here, and there's some really amazing coffee shops here, but it's a little more of an untapped market. So I kind of felt like, it could be a good move, because in California, especially where I was at, you could go within 10 minutes, there's amazing coffee every which way. So it wouldn't have been this like super special thing to open up a shop.
It would have been sort of expected.
Yeah. And so I felt like coming here, it would be more of an unexpected thing, and kind of instead of like a little fish in a big pond, a little more of a big fish in a little pond.
So what was the phrase you just called the coffee? Third wave. Third wave. So kind of explain that for everybody listening.
So there's a few different waves of coffee. So first wave would be like Folgers, very simple, nothing really to it, out of can. Second wave would be and it wasn't as accessible. It was like kind of when it was first becoming accessible to just like the normal average person. And second wave coffee is going to be more like your Starbucks, or California, we had a place called Pete's, a little more like on the go, really quick. There's not too much to it as far as the experience. It's just kind of like a really wide range, like getting it out to everybody kind of service. And then third wave coffee is very much about the experience. It's where like latte art started to really come into play. Things like fair trade coffee, really paying attention to how the coffee farmers are being treated, making sure that they're getting paid fair wages. And then the like a lot of precision in coffee and kind of finding the things like cortados and cappuccinos from different places like Italy, and the kind of more like specialty coffee. And it's really about the experience of how to make a good cup of coffee that's, efficient, like as far as how long it takes, but you take the time to learn and practice latte art, so you not only have a good cup of coffee, but also something that's beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. I'm a coffee snob, but you are clearly not drinking anything like what you make today. So don't judge.
What do you have, the Green Mountain?
I'm not a judge.
Is that the Green Mountain hazelnut?
Yeah, I'm not.
No offense.
I know it does not bother me, because I am really particular about my coffee as far as what I have in my shop. I would in no way say I'm like a coffee expert. I probably know a bit more than the average person, I guess, and I should, owning a coffee shop. But, sometimes cheap coffee just hits the spot.
That's right.
Something.
Well, we're always all learning, even in our own trade, right? I mean, because stuff changes. Like you said, even the farmers, I mean, they're going to come up with something new that's going to change what you do.
Yeah.
And so it's always a learning curve. But I love it. I think the coffee thing, it's just so interesting to me, just the different, like you said, the third way, which is, I've never heard it explained that way. Again, this is not my industry, but it's so cool because it's true. It's like anything else, like breweries, and bourbons. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Well,
like,
in that tasting, like being able to sit down and actually taste a cortado and like taste it for the taste and describe it of like, oh, this is cherry. There's a little chocolate there.
All the different flavors. So at my old job, I ran it was a coffee shop as well. I was very fortunate to work there, and I was the kind of like the general manager, but we also had beer and wine at that shop. And so I knew before working there, I wanted to open a shop that was not just for daytime. It was also for the evening, somewhere you can go day and night. And my whole idea behind it is just to be able to have community. Coffee is a very social thing. Drinks are a very social thing. So just that's kind of like the basis of my business. But I remember at my old job, I ran the whole beer portion. So I did all the ordering all the beer and working with all the sales reps. And, I love beer, like probably just as much as I love coffee. But I didn't know a ton about it. But then once I started working with my sales reps a lot and started researching more, I can at least I can fake sound like I know what I'm talking about with it. So coffee is kind of the same thing in a sense where you just repeat it and you keep digging a bit more and then you start to learn more about it.
The first podcast I was on with you guys years ago, what was the place called? Base 110?
Yep.
Yeah. We were talking about iced coffee. And you probably don't remember what I said, but I was like, how did that come about? I'm like, did somebody just leave a cup of coffee on their desk too long?
Probably.
And he's like, this is too cold, but I'm going to drink it anyway. And then like, I'll throw some ice cubes in it. I need somebody, like I need to try them more because I keep saying, I don't like iced coffee. I don't like iced coffee.
Yeah. Well, I would say it's going to really depend on your shop, because there's some places, can I say Starbucks? Is that okay?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Say whatever you want on here.
So they have.
I usually drop in a bomb or two.
Oh, perfect. That's why we get along. They have a regular iced coffee, which is just their drip coffee that they chill after. And then there's cold brew, and cold brew is a completely different process of brewing. Typically, I would suggest a cold brew to somebody if they tend to have if their stomach feels weird after they drink coffee. Cold brew has, because of the brewing process, a much lower acidity level, so it doesn't affect your stomach as much.
Interesting.
But yeah, it really depends, on what type of coffee they use. We use a Guatemala for our cold brew, and it's so good. It's like
so iced coffee is not just the coffee cold.
No. It can be.
Okay, for listeners out there, did not know this.
Yeah, there are people that do that. They'll brew coffee in the traditional like drip batch coffee.
Okay, so some people do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then they chill it afterwards, and that can definitely it's insane how many things can affect the taste and quality of your coffee, and so I'm sure going from hot to then cold is going to affect the change, or it's going to, and the breakdown of coffee and everything. But cold brew, it's, ground at a much coarser grind, and it's just steeped in cold water overnight, typically overnight. It's like 16 hours. It just breaks the coffee down differently. So it's not going from hot to cold. It's just cold the whole time. And then obviously refrigerate it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me in iced coffee and being good versus bad is really just the boldness maybe of the brew, because a lot of people it's super weak and it's like this tastes like
iced
water.
Coffee is super weak.
No, well, sometimes people brew it in a way or just the proportions of if you get cream or something else, it's just poorly done where it's like, well, this tastes like weird water. It doesn't taste like
weird water.
I would say our cold brew
like iced tea to me tastes like weird water.
Yeah, I mean,
I think iced tea is like this strange.
I have a weird thing with tea. I kind of like tea, but for me, I'm just drinking flavored water. It's not like, for the most part, it doesn't like.
Tea.
It's so
like
good.
I think hot tea tastes better to me than iced tea.
Tea people would be like, well, you're getting the wrong one.
I know.
You got to try a different one.
Well, that's the same thing with our iced coffee lovers out there.
Right? Like beer, whatever.
You just haven't drank the right stout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is kind of perfect. The coffee culture coming here, which totally makes sense. I mean, you have people like we talked about with bourbon drinking, and you're really trying to understand what they're drinking,
Yeah. And I think, especially coming to a town like Winchester from a town like Sacramento, where, I mean, the amount of just average person, like the amount of them that know quite a bit about coffee, because it is very like a heavy coffee culture out there compared to Winchester, where, I've had a lot of people, they don't know what an Americano is. They don't really know what a cappuccino is. They've kind of seen the words, but they don't really know. And then having people who now come in regularly and have a little bit more of an idea. I mean, it's pretty cool to me. I love, like, I've had people like, I'm really sorry, I don't know any of this. And I'm like, no, I love it.
That.
You can ask whatever questions you want. And I think it just, again, creates more of a sense of community. And there's a saying, I guess it's more in California, maybe it's in other places, but there's a saying like, if your barista is nice to you, are you even in a third wave coffee shop? Because there can be a very normal, there was a kind of a normalcy there of like, the baristas were not very nice. Like
the soup Nazis.
Yeah.
Like on Seinfeld, do you remember the soup Nazi?
Yeah.
Like no soup for you.
Yeah.
Like I heard that too.
It's kind of like that where you like go into the shop and you're like, I'm sorry, am I cool enough to be here?
Like, why don't you know this?
I don't know how to order.
You should know this.
Exactly.
Right.
And don't come in here if you don't, right?
Right.
And like, I mean, my staff is great. I really lucked out on the quality of my staff as far as their customer service. And I think it helps too that a lot of them didn't come from a coffee background. So there's no like pretentiousness or no ego. And they're like, yeah, man, I'm learning this right with you. And so I think that creates a really good atmosphere at the shop.
So now knowing that the community that you're serving isn't that where they know all of this and you're coming in and saying, I don't know what that is. How's that affected recipes or like your offerings? Does that mean now that like you have extra drip, knowing that like drip coffee is going to be a higher percentage, or you know what I mean? Like,
it's kind of turned around faster than I thought it would.
Okay.
Like especially, I mean, it's so silly, but like we have oat milk and the almond milk that's really standard in a coffee shop. I only drink oat milk, and when we first opened, we did not really sell very much, and now it's like everybody orders oat milk, and and like, people wouldn't I honestly thought I wouldn't sell too many pour overs because it's not as, I don't know, it is a little more of the like people who really know coffee tend to want to pour over or whatever. And so I didn't think I would sell, and we sell pour overs all the time. Like it's probably one of our top sellers as far as something different than just like a latte. And then as far as recipes go, I do I kind of like having a bit bolder flavors, and I think I definitely have a mentality of expecting more than what people originally show you or what other people might. So for me, I give my customers a benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna treat them as if like we're equals, and that they can completely handle learning or knowing about coffee and exploring like more fun flavors. And I feel like it's been really good. You know, one of our specials right now, we call it a Winchester fog. And it's kind of a little bit of a nod to a London fog. I don't know if you know. Yeah, it's like the Earl Grey tea latte. And so I steep.
Ooh, I bet that's good.
We steep our Earl Grey and we turn it into a syrup. And then we put that syrup into our latte. And it's
that sounds good.
It's really good.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just a really light floral flavor. And I think it could be easy, you know, from things I've heard from people like, oh, kind of write Winchester off a little bit. It's a small town, whatever. But people, like my customers, love that kind of stuff. They've been like really accepting of things that are kind of not the typical caramel or anything like that.
Like vanilla syrup or just something.
Yeah, and I mean, we never
new.
make anyone feel bad if I'm like, you want to only taste the sugar and you just have a little bit of the coffee, that's fine.
Like Dunkin' Donuts?
Yeah, I mean...
like that trend on TikTok that was like literally people getting like a tiny little thing of like
of coffee.
6 ounces. Like
Well, I joke and say
thing,
sometimes,
and putting a whole thing of sugar in it, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I do joke and say that I like my coffee like a milkshake.
Yeah, I mean, my sister is the same way.
I'm not going to lie, I go to Dunkin' Donuts.
I mean, I'm like,
I'm
like
not going to
all the
blame you.
stuff.
I mean, I do hold the mentality of like to each their own. And I think, you know, I don't offer everything that other shops would offer because I decided if I'm going to open the shop and I'm going to put my all into it, then I really just want to have the things that I can really back and I can really, I don't feel guilty selling, I guess, like, cause I have I can sell when I really believe in something, but if I don't,
it should be authentic, right?
Yeah. So, but yeah, I tell people, I'm like, you like what you like. And it's always a good starting point. You know, I've had people where they start with, this is what I always order when I go somewhere else. And I think because they don't feel put down or guilty, like when they come into the shop to order that, they'll kind of branch out. And then, you know, I have people come in and they're like, just make me whatever. That's
probably what I would do.
Yeah.
I would, I would be like, I just trust you. Just make me something.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, like, where do you think that shift in culture comes from in awareness and being sort of adventurous and trying something new? Because you said before, community wasn't really like that. Now it's shifting. Is that due to your education and them being repeat customers and kind of over time opening up to it because they know you and you could talk? Is it something else in culture? Like there's something on, I don't know, is there a TV show or a certain, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that stuff infiltrates from different places.
I'm not totally sure. I mean, I would hope that me and my employees being open and not like putting anyone down for what they like or being completely willing to have conversations about how we brew things or how I come up with flavors or things like that. I think it allows people to open up. I think it's really easy to write people off as one way or, you know, not capable of change or anything like that. And I try really hard to not have that mentality. A big reason why I wanted to open the shop is because I'm a very big people person. I think the best thing we can do is to find humanity in another person and not just completely pay attention or like be closed-minded and only see stereotypes. And so even though it's just a coffee shop, I feel like it's just something, one small thing I can do is, you know, whether I look at someone who comes in, I can easily, my first thought can be, they know nothing about coffee. I know what they're going to order. It's going to be some super sugary, I don't even want to make. That can be my first thought. And people will surprise you, or someone comes in and there was an older man who first started coming in, never came in with a smile, very short, sentences, only would say what he wanted to order. Yes, ma'am. No, thank you. And I definitely have a stubborn side where I'm like, we're going to be friends. I'm going to make it happen. You're not going to come into my shop and be grumpy. So eventually, I know his name now. And when he comes in, he's smiling, he's talking to other customers, he's laughing. And so I think when you can not just write people off and you give them the space to grow, I think that lends to it a lot, or at least that's what I hope.
Yeah. What a great culture you've created already, just in
trying.
Yeah.
I was going to say that's a pretty good, or that particular example is like great feedback to you, right? That you're doing the right thing culture-wise, to Jen's point.
Yeah. And
letting that dude be himself.
Well, the fact you even have that mentality as a business owner is huge.
Yeah.
For not only your employees, like you said, but for the people coming in, for your community.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just awesome.
Yeah. And I think it's, especially in our day and age, I think it's really easy to get stuck in just doing your own thing, staying in your lane, staying in your small circle, or being surrounded by people who are just like you, have the same likes and dislikes. And so I think for me, I really wanted to create a space. It is probably one of the highest priorities. I say that we're a people first company. And, I tell people what I mean by that is when my customers come in, they're not just dollars walking in. And when my employees are working for me, they're not just like people, things there to serve my customers and make me money. Of course, I want to make money and I want to be popular. I want my business to be booming.
Right.
But to me, it wouldn't be worth it if people didn't enjoy my space and feel welcome. Everybody talks about creating change, and it can get really overwhelming to figure out where you fit in that piece. And I think for me, in my little coffee shop, that's kind of where I was like, instead of looking at the big scale and the big picture, I would rather, if I can have two people from opposing views, who would never cross paths, if I could have them sitting in my coffee shop, even if they're not talking, but they can exist in the same space, to me, that is a step in the right direction, to where it's not just like in a typical coffee shop where you kind of really get a feel of who it goes there on a regular basis. There's kind of a look to it. There's a standard of what that type of person is. And that's not what I want. I want there to be people from different, economic backgrounds, different social backgrounds. I want them all to feel like they can come in, and I'm not going to force an agenda on them. I'm just going to accept them as a person. And I mean, as long as everyone's being respectful, I feel like we can exist in the same space.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
I just saw something this morning. I think it was on Twitter. I don't know if this is everywhere or if this is like a hyper localized kind of thing. It's a Starbucks thing. Apparently, Starbucks for Culture is doing like these have you seen this? They're doing like 2-hour like culture meetings with employees to just hang out alone.
What?
Like forcing the employees to be in a room together and to get along, because there's apparently barista issues, staffing problems, and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure adding a lot of problems to the whole mix. But
interesting.
That's just so wild.
So
to
they're
me
forcing like almost like a cat fight.
Yeah, you're right. Get in the room.
Just
come
get
out.
in there.
You're gonna be nice to each other.
Yeah.
One man comes out alive. 2 men enter. 1 man lives. Like, what the heck are we talking about?
I think anything that's forced is never genuine. And
that is my point.
So
that's like Max Thunderdome.
I mean, I tell my staff, like when I did the interviews and stuff, like I told them, like, if you treat customers poorly or if you treat other employees poorly, that would be terms of, or like I would let you go. I have pretty much a zero tolerance for it. I don't think that there's ever an excuse to treat someone poorly. I mean, there is a balance of it, but I don't maintain the idea that the customer is always right. I tell my employees, I said, actually, the customer's wrong a lot of the time, but we can still choose to treat them in the right way. So there's a way to stand up for yourself. or ask someone to leave or whatever without being rude.
It's great advice. It's true. It's true.
That's where I always say, like, customer is usually wrong, but we can treat them right.
So back to your like regulars and to being kind of like new and bringing in a thing that like you said, I mean, coffee is very specific to people, you know, people like it a certain way. So have you seen, and you know, I think that like my dad is 78 and he's very particular, obviously. But I think people in their, you know, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s are the same way now. You know, I think coffee used to be just like old people drank it. You know what I mean? It's true. Like everybody, you know, it's like now everybody
wake up, drink coffee, read the paper. Right?
And I mean, even high schoolers are like, oh, I love coffee. And it's like, what? But
well, they're really getting like vanilla bean frappuccinos with no coffee.
I know, but you know what I mean? Like it's everybody's drinking coffee.
I know.
Everybody, But so what age demographic in kind of a short period of time? I mean, because what are we talking now? How many years now? A year?
No, we're 6 months.
You're only 6 months? I thought it was a year.
Old. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. So, gosh, you're so evolved in 6 months to me. I feel like you've been there for a year already. But what do you see an age where they're more like it's harder to determine who's going to order what, or like do you see like, or is there like a group that might be more set in their ways, like only ordering a certain thing, or
you know what, it's funny because it is kind of maybe the tail ends, you know, the younger teenager group, and then the, you know, older folks that they tend to be that way. So I get a lot of the younger kids, and they'll pretty much always order a caramel vanilla latte, or at our shop they'll order. We have a cookie butter syrup. My sister, maybe my sister will listen to it. So if she does, the cat's out of the bag. But she was the one who told me I had to have some sort of cookie butter latte, and it's like, I made it into a syrup instead of other shops, I guess, one other shop, they had used the actual cookie butter.
Oh.
But for me, I said, that's going to mess up the flow of my bar, and I don't like that. So I kind of worked on a recipe of my own, and it is our top seller of like our standard syrups, but I hadn't told her that yet. She's my older sister, you know, so I can't let her.
Can't give her any accolades just yet. She doesn't get any credit.
Maybe she'll listen to this though, and then she'll be like, "Oh, I knew it." But yeah, so they'll either do like the caramel vanilla or the cookie butter, and then the older folks, they tend to order just they'll come in and they'll be like, I know I'm boring. I just get drip. And I told them, I said, no, you got to rebrand it. You're just a purist. Like, that's how you say it.
That's right.
And they're like, yeah, that's right. And so,
that's funny.
But yeah, so they'll do the drips. But I have, you know, I think because I'll be like, no, let's try this today. Like once I get to a feel for someone, I'll tell them like, well, this is what you asked for. Cause you know, I'll open up more and be more, I'm a very sarcastic person, so that'll come out when I know if you can take it or not. So I definitely have had people where they order the same thing all the time, and then, you know, there's a guy who comes in, he always gets his white mocha. I actually ended up getting white mocha sauce for him because he kept coming in and asking for it. And I was giving him a hard time the other day. I was like, you going to do your white mocha again? And joking around. And then he was like, well, maybe this. And I was like, yeah, we're going to do that instead. And now that's what he gets. Now he switched. That's funny. So.
Oh, that's funny. And you even went out and got him his thing. I mean, and that's right. And you had him switch.
Yeah.
That's pretty good service. And you're doing, what kind of food are you having too? Because you do some food, not a lot.
Yeah. We've got a real small kitchen. So, and we're pretty limited on what equipment we can have in there. So we've got a few toast options, which we're hopefully going to be updating our food menu middle of next month as well. So, but we've got a couple toast options. Our avocado toast is by far our number one seller. We have people who come in and get it every day or multiple times a week. And then we've got some butter boards. It was kind of a trend on TikTok.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm going to do that. I feel like
Which is like, I mean, it's just like eating a stick of butter, but it's like just throw some butter on a board, give me a big stack of bread.
It's like when you go to a restaurant, you know, like one of your favorite parts is sitting there and eating the bread and
the dinner roll
butter.
is a vehicle for eating the butter.
Exactly.
Right. Like have you had the Jeff Ruby's truffle butter?
I have not.
Oh my word. Have you had it?
It's been a while, but yeah.
Oh my God. Like, to your point, like that's when I was thinking like, I hadn't thought about it like thinking like, oh, I love the Jeffrey's truffle butter. Then I saw the butter boards and I'm like, oh, like 7 different types of truffle butter would be amazing on a board.
Yeah. So one of ours is, it sells the most, but it's blackberry and chili. So we do like blackberries and lemon zest, a little bit of lemon juice, and Aleppo chili flakes, and then with a drizzle of honey in it.
So you make, those are all homemade. It's you make it.
Yeah, we try to do everything in-house as much as possible. So our salad dressings we make in-house, and we have a honey mustard vinaigrette that like is, my business partner came up with that recipe a long time ago, and had prior been asked to like, can you please bottle it? Can I buy it from you or whatever? So of course, when we were opening the shop, we knew we had to have that on something, and then we make our ranch in house as well.
I bet that's cool. Good too.
You can almost do like bulletproof coffee since you got butter in the house.
Yeah, I've thought about it. We're kind of thinking about, we have a gym that's just a few doors down from us. So we do have, the butter boards are more indulgent, but we do have quite a few healthy options. We've got a turkey sandwich and a veggie sandwich, and both of those are really top, like really good sellers as well. But we're trying to figure out some, maybe adding, I really don't like blended drinks, but if my customers really want it, then I'll fold, I guess.
Like a frappuccino? What do you mean?
Yeah, like frappuccinos or that sort of thing. I'm a very, like, with me because I work behind the bar a lot, and I'm very, like, I want to get in my flow, and, like, it's very satisfying. It's almost like a dance, as cheesy as that sounds.
No,
but,
it's
like,
true.
You kind of get a flow and a rhythm going, and then when you got to do those blended drinks, it just throws it all off, and
it's just a different flow, right? It's the blended drink flow.
It's a salsa instead of a jig.
Yeah,
that's funny.
But yeah, so we've got. I'm starting to make Rice Krispie treats too. We have a little bakery upstairs, and
I bet those are good. Do you make your own cinnamon rolls? To the ones that you posted?
We don't make our own in-house, but I have a woman in Winchester who makes them for us. She's I think right now a stay-at-home mom, and when we were kind of getting the shop ready to open, she had come in and just to say hi and introduce herself, and had said she'd been selling these from her home, and people were telling her to try to get into some shops, and she brought us in some samples, and they're really good. And I do really love the idea of supporting locally, and I think especially like coming from, before my last job, I was a stay-at-home mom, and it can be a really difficult place in a sense, because you do put so much of yourself into your kids, and you can kind of lose your sense of like autonomy. And it's really, I've heard this from a lot of stay-at-home moms, not her, I didn't hear this from her, so I don't want to put that on her, but it was my experience and other moms that I know, that they, parenthood is an amazing thing, but it can be a pretty thankless job, and you can kind of get lost in the shuffle of like, what do I really have to offer? What can I really do? Or how can I contribute, and that sort of thing. So I love the idea of being able to have, the ability to help someone, being like, look, I'm contributing. This is something that's of my own. So she's been making them for us. She may be moving in August, which I'm sad about, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe we'll get up to speed with our own bakery, and we'll start making them in-house.
But I love that, because I think it's cool. Like you go into coffee shops and they'll say like bread's provided by, and it's farm down the street, or bakery down the street or something like that. I think that's just so smart to support each other.
Yeah.
Are there other partnerships or things that you're kind of thinking about doing? Ones that you want to have, or partnership with a farm maybe to help supply cream to make butter for the boards, or you know what I mean?
I mean, so our bread was being made in-house by this man, Chris, and he did a great job. He ended up needing to move on to other things, which was fine. We understood, but we use Sunrise Bakery in Lexington.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we switched to them. They've been really great. And then we just started partnering with Great Bagel as well. We have their bagel. So I kind of like having, taking a little bit of Lexington and bringing it to Winchester.
Absolutely. We'll definitely promote that for you too.
Yeah, and I think because Lexington's growing and kind of getting a little more expensive, so it's pushing some people out. We're starting to see some people move from Lexington to there. So having a little piece of that in Winchester, I think can entice people to come there as well.
Are we having a technical issue?
Yeah.
What's
We're back on.
okay?
What did we miss?
What's going
I
on?
think there's a short in the HDMI afterward.
Oh, cool.
Oh no.
You said, "Oh, cool." Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
Do we need? Where was it?
Nobody
Where
breathe.
Is this one right here?
No, I mean like how far back?
Just like the last 20.
seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good, okay. But yeah, I love that you were saying that, and just in case it didn't catch it, that you're collabing with some Lexington bakeries.
Yeah.
With Great Bagel and with Sunrise Bakery. I think that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'll always look for ways to support other businesses because I think, of course, there's healthy competition and that sort of thing. But I just don't think I'm a very ruthless person. I can't really, I don't want to push anyone out of business. I mean, I know there's a little bit you have to have of that in order to keep your business to survive. But I feel like I like operating under the idea of like, let's work together, let's boost each other up. Especially, I mean, because you're in different fields. So I'm not necessarily going to lose business out with another bakery, especially one in Lexington, but being able to support each other.
And y'all are doing music too. How often do you do live music?
Yeah, so we do open mics on Mondays, which is starting to grow, and that's overall been a really good night for us. And then we have there's a group called Heartstrings Singer-Songwriter Circle, and I think they're kind of from different places in Kentucky, the people who participate. And that's a once a month we host. They were on Mondays, but now they're switching. It'll be the last Thursday of the month that we'll have that going on. And then we do live music on typically Saturday nights right now. We try to, we were kind of switching back and forth between Friday and Saturday, but Saturday tends to be a bit better. And then in the summer, Winchester has Rock the Block.
That's right.
It's like one Friday a month, so we just didn't want to have to worry about competing with that.
Right, yeah, that's smart.
Anything, but.
So how do you decide sort of like those side things, like whether it's music or trivia or something else that's going to help bring people in? How do you decide what's good for you?
Yeah, I mean, there is kind of like a standard type of event that places will have, like music, trivia, open mic, those kinds of things. I'm trying to find some other kind of out of the box things. We did host a live podcast taping for a true crime show.
Oh, that's right. I did see that.
Yeah, that went really
Which one
well.
was it?
That's so
cool.
cool.
Oh my gosh. Oh, it's coffee in cases. Now my mind is going to go blank.
Okay.
I believe it's Coffee in Cases. So it's two ladies that are out of Kentucky, and the story they had was a Kentucky-based story. And some of the people who came, they were like, "Yeah, I went to high school with the girl that disappeared."
That's wild.
Or whatever.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
so it was pretty cool.
I had Brandy Romines, you know her, the Kentucky
That's
cake
the
maker.
third person today you've asked me if I know, and I don't. And I feel like I usually
didn't
am
know
pretty
if
well
you ran
connected,
into her
and
or
I'm
not.
like, I don't know anybody now.
So Brandy Romines, she's a baker. She was on, what was it, Lance? Best Baker in America, I think. And
Is she from Versailles?
she's from Lexington. She
I
does a
saw
lot
her.
of like private kind of stuff, like really specialty, like beautiful cakes.
Yeah.
A little higher end, I think, as well. But she was here, and Ellen Calipari actually came with her.
Oh, cool.
And the two of them are like real true crime nerds. They're like serious about like doing a podcast about true crime.
Oh.
And that was about the time that Alex Murdaugh, that whole case was going on.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really funny. So we talked a little bit about
I can't
that.
listen to that stuff.
I know, I can't
I'm
do it
very
either.
selective. I'm
I mean,
very
I
selective
live-
with the ones I can listen to.
And I don't have the time either to sit there because a lot of times they're so dramatic and slow. I'm like, can we? I need some more bullet
The
points
one,
here.
I scare
will
myself
say
enough,
The one
just-
that if you can't listen to them, this is pretty much the only one I listen to. Well, it started as a YouTube channel, but now she has turned it into a podcast. It's called Murder, Mystery, and Makeup, and the host her name's Bailey Sarian, and she is so funny. And like she'll sit there, she just does her makeup while she's.
Oh, I
telling
think
the
I've
true
okay.
crime.
I have seen that.
And she's hilarious, and she does it like she'll just start laughing at like
So you don't get as
inappropriate times, which is what I do. So
Wait. You get scared listening to them?
I can't.
Oh, I will.
Yes.
For sure.
Are you joking? You don't?
No.
You don't?
It depends on the story. 'Cause I feel like it's too close to home, and I'm like, this is going to happen to me.
Yeah, no, I can't. Or I start thinking it's going to happen to my kids.
Yes.
Well, maybe
I start like thinking this is too like this could happen to one of my sons. I'm like, I got to turn it off. Like I can't.
For me, I think it's
watch
about
those
more
shows.
proximity and not the details. Like if I was sitting there in the audience and somebody was talking about something that happened in Lexington, I'd be like, oh crap, I had no idea. So now I'm on alert for that. And that would make me concerned, you know?
Yeah.
But like, I feel like watching the news is like listening to I just said that backwards.
Yeah.
That's crazy. True crime, where it's just always like something bad, and you hear the details.
I know. Well, I can't
so.
apply all of that to like not. It doesn't have to just be in Lexington. It could be any of those things. Like I'd start listening, and then I'm like picturing myself in these scenarios, and I'm just like, hey.
It's better just turn it off.
Yeah. Can't do it.
But she's like the only one I'll listen to.
Yeah.
And then
I did see that. I did see her. Yeah. I could handle her probably too, I think. Because like you said, there's a little bit of a, it's not quite so serious.
Yeah. I think she kind of makes it funny.
The music and all that.
Yeah. I'm like, I have a morbid sense of humor anyway. So because she's making it funny, I'm like, okay, we're just joking around here. It's not,
right.
You know, obviously it's true stories, but it makes it feel not quite as true, I think.
Like Dateline freaks me out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time. Like even that stuff.
For sure. The pacing and I think that does bother me more because there's that visual component.
Yeah.
Helps to reinforce what in the world's going on.
Yeah. I just get freaked out.
I was just thinking about this because I put protein powder in my coffee. Because people call, what is it, like Profi or whatever that word is that people
they
use,
have a new word
like
for that
protein.
too.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's an acronym too.
I don't know anybody that does that around here.
Yeah.
Do you know anybody? Or can you please start doing it? Or like,
I'll test some recipes. Yeah, if you come out.
Right?
It'll be the
dissolve okay?
Yeah, it's okay. I think I haven't mastered like the perfect amount of coffee to protein
I've never thought
powder.
about putting protein in
Because
mine.
depending on which one you get, it's 2 scoops or 1 scoop, and you got
protein powder in first. Or
I've
after?
been experimenting with like which one's better. Usually, I think putting it in first and then pouring on top seems like it blends better.
Yeah, it probably dissolves it down a bit more.
Yeah, the other way kind of clumps up, and it like it's powder on the inside of like a wet ball.
Yeah,
Ew.
You know, which is weird.
Get one of those
so
frothers, and that'll kind of blend it in.
I usually don't make the time for all that.
Yeah.
So I drink instant coffee. Everybody makes fun of me. What is your take on instant coffee?
Literally hot water.
I have a tea kettle. I got rid of my coffee maker, and I got rid of.
So you don't like tea, but you have a tea kettle.
I like tea. I like hot tea. I like hot tea.
Okay.
I like hot tea. I don't like iced tea. I think iced tea tastes like dirty water.
Yeah.
But I literally my Keurig was gross. I just thought, you know what I mean? And like the coffee maker was like, I was always like, just like pour vinegar through it, and it's like it's still just nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So just started, and I like it's just Nescafe. Is that what it is? Yeah, Nescafe. Mm-hmm. And I think it tastes fresh. I think it does. I mean, some people are like, "You're insane. It tastes like trash," but
I mean, I
love it.
I don't know. I don't really drink instant coffee unless that's my only option. But I'm like, everybody has their own taste and what works for them. And like, I am very fortunate that I am in a coffee shop all the time, so I have access to
the good stuff.
Stuff. And
I was gonna say I've had actually pretty decent instant coffee before.
I mean, it's very European. I mean,
it tastes good.
And there are very serious coffee roasters that will do their own version of instant coffee.
Yeah, because like at Trader Joe's has like these little packets.
I don't think you have to completely write it off. I think there's a way to do it, and
and you don't get moldy pipes.
Yeah.
Like my moldy
that's
coffee
true.
pot. It's like, whoa. I just couldn't do it. But but people do. They're like, you drink instant coffee? I'm like, it's actually really good. And then the Trader Joe's, I found those little packets. They already have like the cream and the sugar in there, and then the instant coffee, you just pour it in. And
it's less
if you're on the
to
go,
clean up.
that's what I'm saying, right? Well, the Keurig, the reason I didn't like those anymore is because even if you push the large cup, it never makes a large cup.
Yeah.
It always makes half a cup.
Twice or whatever.
Right.
And then
It's
it's
like,
watered down because now it's...
Right. It's like it's false advertisement.
Yeah.
So,
I forget, where's Keurig from? Do you know? Germany, something, whatever.
It's kind
Well,
of
you know, it's an
instant coffee in a
American
way,
thing to
if you
have
think
these
about it.
big ass things of coffee of 32 ounces of iced coffee.
Right. Well, and my
people
kitchen's
in
really
Italy,
tiny
for
too.
example, I mean, there's a reason there's a doppio and all that stuff, right?
Right.
Because it's about that much.
Right.
And that's enough.
Yeah.
Because it's about
Yeah.
sipping.
That's
not
right.
like guzzling down. Like,
Well, and it's not about let me
32 ouncer.
jack myself up with caffeine, you know, in other cultures and stuff. It's very much about the enjoying the flavor and savoring it instead of just drinking as much as quick as possible.
I try to do both.
Yeah.
Like 90% get jacked up to the point of almost shaking. And then 10%
Get me through the day. Get me through the day.
I said that to the people in Omaha yesterday. I was like, listen, whatever you got, I need to be borderline shaking when I'm done with this because I need to be awake.
You were in Omaha yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't realize
Just
that.
traveling back anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Crazy.
I'm the same way. I mean, I'd like, you know, I mean, I drink it all day long because I do enjoy the taste, but I just drink it all day long just for both reasons. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think coffee is there's so many similarities between coffee and wine and beer. I mean, everybody,
It's true,
it's a niche, right? Like that you can dive in as little or as much as you want. And so there's space for like anybody. So like with wine, you can get $2 chucks at Trader Joe's.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
And people like it. And then there's the really expensive bottles of wine that there's, you know, unless you have really acquired taste or a really defined
Fine
palate, it's not as good to you because you don't know what flavors to look for and you're not kind of trained for that.
Right,
So
So how do you think from your perspective as the business owner and coming up with flavor profiles and serving people, to your point here, is you have that massive range of a hobbyist, you know, I don't know shit about this, all the way to the most stuck up person about it, right? And then everybody in between. So like, how do you choose from, you know, your one person's perspective, how do you choose who to serve?
yeah.
Do you go towards like, well, most people are going to be in the middle, so I'm going to go there because I know I have a more secure customer base because it's a bigger base? Do I go to somebody that's a little bit more on the refined side where I could charge more, but there's less people? And then that does, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
it's a lot of decisions.
It is a balance. Yeah, I do try to not overprice things or at least, you know, stay within the realm of what other people and feel like I can justify what I'm selling something for. But as far as flavors and stuff go, I'll tend to have something that I feel like is going to be for the person that's like, I'm ready to try new things. What do you have to throw at me? And then I'll have other ones. Like we do have a caramel cookie butter steamer. It is very sweet. That one doesn't even have espresso in it. People will add it to it. But that one was for like people who don't drink coffee or kids that come in. It's just like a different version of hot chocolate, really. But yeah, so I kind of want to offer a variety, but things that I feel like are still high quality and still like.
Yeah.
Don't you think that also is because of where you are? Like if you were still in Sacramento, right? I was thinking, I said San Diego. If you were still in Sacramento, like the culture is different.
The culture is different.
So I think you are kind of, you're not by any means like sacrificing like your like values or disciplines about what you actually like your business model, but I think that you still have to lend yourself to your audience a little bit,
I
right?
think it's a really, you know, it's just kind of a balancing act of like, I want the coffee to be the main character, right, in a latte or whatever it is, but
Here we go again.
But I know the customer base I have, they're used to having like Starbucks as their main source of coffee, and that is not about the coffee. It is about like all the different flavors they can add to the coffee. So it's trying to, you know, push people a little beyond that, but still kind of meet
have
them
something
where
familiar.
If I didn't offer something with caramel, or if I didn't offer those things that you can find in a shop like Starbucks, I think I would lose customers because it wouldn't be familiar to them. Where back in Sacramento, I could have 3 flavors and that's it. And people would think that's normal. It wouldn't be like, I mean, maybe there would be people that would be like, I'm not going to go there because they don't have caramel, whatever. But you would still have a really good customer base because there's people that understand and have more knowledge of the coffee. So
yeah. Well, so what does like 5 years look like?
5 years. So we are working on trying to get our back room open to be able to allow people space to like rent it for or you know, like team meetings or whatever. And we have the second floor that we really want to be able to get up and going to become more of an event space. I do have a dream of being able to, like I said, I really love being able to support local businesses or people who have an idea for, or like just at the beginning stage of a business, but don't really have like a space to really showcase it. So being able to do pop-ups.
That's a great idea.
And that sort of thing, to be able to showcase it and then have kind of a small, once we get like an elevator in, we could have a little over 100 people on the second floor. But to be able to have kind of a boutique event space where we could have like a smaller exclusive music venue, and be able to have, I mean, you could, once we update that space, you have a beautiful wedding up there. It wouldn't be a huge wedding because, you know, you're kind of limited in how many people, but it's, you know, we're right across from the courthouse. And so you could even have a reception there. Yeah. It's like a really great space. So I think for us, those are, you know, 2 of the main things is we really want to have, we say we're a coffee and social club. So being able to have more events that really lend to the social club aspect of it. Eventually we want to start offering like memberships. So you could get, you know, discounted ticket prices when we start doing ticketed music events, or you get a discount on
I love that.
the drinks or whatever. So it's not exclusive in the sense that like only certain people can really be a part of it. But it's exclusive or I guess it's more inclusive as far as like kind of being on the inside of the business. So those are kind of the main focus for the horizon. I think maybe eventually I'd be open to the idea of having a secondary shop.
I was going to ask you if you're looking at a second location eventually.
Yeah. I mean, owning a business is definitely, especially just certain life events that have been thrown my way over the last year of moving here. It's definitely been like the most challenging time that I've been through, but there's so many things about it that is so rewarding and it just makes me want to do more and kind of get out there. So
that is definitely the true entrepreneur spirit. Nothing's going to keep you down. It's so true. I love it. Yeah.
So when we were in Winchester, Chad's
place. I may
place,
have to leave in
just a couple minutes.
No, maybe like in 10 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Sorry,
we'll wrap up.
I didn't realize it was already 12:15. Go ahead. Sorry. You don't have to wrap up. I'm just letting you know.
Well, no, it's fine. So, where was I going?
Sorry.
When you went to Chad's place?
Oh, yeah. When we were,
House,
we were talking about the community, basically, that the business owners are creating themselves to help drive traffic from Lexington and other areas. And, like you were talking about Friday night things during the summer and whatnot. What kind of challenges have you found so far in your 6 months? And what is the value of like you being in that? Because it's not every small town that like takes charge where there's multiple business owners that band together to go, hey, we don't have the traffic that we want. Let's do this together. Be thoughtful together and take action together. You don't see that everywhere. That's rare.
Yeah.
And so now you're in the midst of that.
Yes.
Like, what has that done for you as well?
I mean, honestly, the community of business owners in Winchester have been like just so great to us, been very welcoming. Chad has offered assistance as far as like, this is not only a new venture for us, but it's also a brand new state, a brand new city that we don't know all the ins and outs of. And he's offered, words of advice and that sort of thing. And I've had other business owners like Jennifer from Eves. She's now like, I would consider her a good friend.
I love her.
Like
she's awesome.
She's so cool and so supportive. And so that's been a huge help. And just getting kind of inside information from them and them not being like each man, is out for themselves kind of thing. I think just builds a good solid base for the downtown. I will say it's a little bit of a challenge, just Winchester politics. It is pretty small town politics, and there is definitely a mindset of this is how we've done things. Like, this is how we've always done things. We want to
grow, but we don't want to grow.
Yeah, like we want
to grow, but we don't want to change how we do it.
Or like,
yeah,
that's a lot of work. Or no, people of Winchester aren't going to respond to that. It is that, like, classifying people in one way and never letting them have the ability to grow or giving them the space to grow.
So how do you help promote a change of that mentality? Because you get a voice, and a pretty powerful one, as being somebody that has a store.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to work with some of the other business owners, talk about event type stuff. I've sat in on a couple of the meetings. And it's a little, I'm a very, like, I'm going to observe for a while before I start voicing my opinion, because I want to really know what I'm saying before I say it. So I have taken a little bit of a backseat, just in terms of there's, it is still politics. It is still business stuff. So there's a little bit of a dual thing happening of some business owners feel like this would be the right direction. Some business owners or building owners feel like this would be the right direction. And then I'm, friends with a lot of them. And I'm just kind of like, well.
You're like Switzerland right now.
Yes, I joke about that all the time.
That's what I always say. I'm Switzerland.
My friend Adam, he owns some of the buildings downtown. And I think it was for Christmas, he sent me a banner that's like the Switzerland flag as a joke. But I'm like, I'm just not gonna, like,
well, it makes sense.
Just yet.
Yeah, because I'm
you see that in companies too, right? Like the newbie that comes in that's 8 or maybe 22, fresh out of school with a degree, and they think they know everything.
Yeah.
And then you got the people that have been at the company for 30 years that are like, sit down, child, right?
Yeah, and I feel like it's really good to kind of find, I'm just very, I guess,
let's go to listen to all the
about
sides.
The middle ground as far as, like, I don't want to swing one way or the other quite yet, at least.
I mean, that's smart.
I'll go behind. If I feel really strongly about something, I will push for it. But right now I'm still trying to figure it out. They just brought in a new director for events and stuff in Winchester, which I'm, that was a little bit of a controversial thing, because there were some people who weren't sure how that would be. And that was a big thing of, like, I don't know really which side to land on. I could see it being good, but I can also see the concerns. But I, encouraged other people to just take it as, like, well, maybe that now this person will really step up because they know a lot of eyes are on them, and try to do. And I think that she is at the very least trying to really focus on how to bring Winchester up and get it going.
Now, is she an employee for like the chamber?
I believe she's an employee for the city.
For the city. Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, so the city, I think, is really, like, I know there's been plenty of people in downtown that have had issues. They want to bring a business in, but they get a lot of red tape just with small town politics, which is really unfortunate. So it is a little bit that I think the city kind of gets in its way, just having that old mindset and being like, no, I don't think that's what we need, or we can't do that because of this or whatever, when really it's just, not really a good reason. But,
right.
So I'm trying to have, I think, at least help with that mindset of, like, no, I think the people of Winchester really want this. If you give them a chance, I think that they'll really go for it. And, I mean, because we do, like, Beer Cheese Festival, which is
amazing. Yes, it's huge.
I haven't been to the festival.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
Yeah, we got here just before it happened. It was the weekend we got here from California, and I was shocked by the amount of people that came down. And, like, Pioneer Fest is the same thing, like, just so busy. Rock the Block tends to be a lot of people, so people will come down to Winchester when we really give them a reason to. We just, I think, got to figure out how to give them a reason to on a regular basis.
Right. Yeah. And, it's like anything else. I feel like it's not just in town, like people consider a smaller town. It's everywhere. You bring in, or you change, and nobody likes change. People don't, it scares everybody. Right. I mean, large organizations here brought in a new chef, and then it's like he wants to make a change and everybody freaks out, you know, and it's like, well, there's things that have to be changed sometimes, and it's
and I think growth can be scary, you know, especially for small towns. Like, it can be a great thing, but then it's also like people like their small town,
where they get afraid that it's going to turn into Lexington after X number of years,
right?
Yeah,
so I think, you know, trying to help curb that and create a space of like, I have a really big goal that I will create a space, I'm determined to, I guess, that people from Lexington come out to see, and, you know, people make a point to stop when they're on their way back from the gorge or to the gorge to stop at our shop, because it's a destination worth stopping and going out of the way to go to. So I think if other people had that mindset, and if the city of Winchester could get behind that mindset of, we're going to create something that people have to come see, I think it really could. Winchester just has so much potential for that.
It really does. I mean, just sitting here thinking about all the members we work with. I mean, the art, the music, the food, the antiques. I mean, it's the lead center does an amazing job. I mean, it's just impressive. Yeah.
Seems like one of those things. I'm trying to find like other parallels, and I know we both need to run. My wife is calling me in the middle of the day, which is weird. So.
That baby's awake.
She's a school teacher, like she's in a classroom, so it's weird for her to be on the phone.
Interesting.
But it's kind of like a strip mall in a way, in my mind. The parallel being like,
that's how we talk about Southland Drive too.
It's
a strip mall.
Well, we like Hamburg, for example, the area of Lexington, right? Because of all the offerings that are there.
Yeah,
we know I'm going to spend a few hours. I'm going to go to Target for a minute. I'm going to go get food at PetSmart. I'm going to go do this and that, right? I'm going to take the kids. We're going to go to Chick-fil-A, maybe watch a movie. It's a whole thing.
You can create a whole day out of it if you want to.
And I mean, just here in Lexington, if you were going to go from like the Tate's Creek area to Hamburg, you better have a good set of things to do. I'm not going to go over there for one thing, right? So same thing. If I'm going to go from Lexington to Winchester, there better be a collection of things I'm going to do. If I'm going to dedicate 45 minutes or whatever the drive's going to end up being with traffic to even get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that to me is like finding.
It doesn't take 45 minutes, by the way. Those listening, it's closer.
I know. Well, you drive 2 miles an hour.
Just saying.
But you know what I mean? Like finding that, like, what can we really do? And in my mind, I'm thinking like parent, like maybe the kids are driving it a little bit. Like the moms, we know moms make decisions in households for what the kids are going to do and the family's going to do, right? So put it on mom's radar that the kids have an opportunity to go to Winchester to do something while they're there going to eat.
But it's true. I mean, that's why, like in Lexington, I feel like, and being in Louisville so much lately, it's like there's Hamburg people, like to your point, people stay in Hamburg, people stay in Chevy Chase, people stay in Beaumont, people stay in these areas because they don't need to leave.
Right, exactly.
They don't need to go. There's something
they don't
provided.
Have to go here and then get in their car and go there. Like you can kind of, or if you do have to go in your car, you don't have to drive far. I go into Hamburg all the time from Winchester because I know I can hit lots of shops. And Winchester, you know, is a smaller town, so it doesn't have as much to offer. But I do think that, you know, we have a Vietnamese restaurant that's going to be opening up, I believe, next month, which I'm really excited about. And I know, talking to a few other people, there's some other things that are on kind of the horizon that I think are kind of staple things that downtowns need.
Yeah.
Well, and like you just said, it doesn't have a lot to offer. I think it does. I think the only difference is like the big box stores.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have those huge anchor stores like a Target or a Dick's or a whatever, you know.
But also like,
but I don't think it
general
needs
awareness, right?
Yeah. And I think, because I know before we kind of started, we were kind of talking a little bit, and I was saying how just some of the history that I learned about Winchester before, I didn't know before moving here, that I learned afterwards, that I think the downtown was kind of written off a lot because it wasn't, you know, there was some unsavory things that were happening that was more targeted to the downtown area. So it wasn't necessarily a safe place to be. I don't feel that way at all now, especially as a newcomer. I don't really see that in the downtown for the most part. I mean, every downtown's going to have a little bit. It just is what it is. But it's a great little, I mean, everyone's so friendly. It really is a great little downtown. And I think through COVID, a lot of places shut down. So there weren't very many places to go walk around and see. Where now, we've come in. There's a few other places that are coming in. And I think there is starting to become more to do, more to offer. And it's getting people to realize that and to change the mindset of like, we just drive through downtown to get somewhere else. Where now it's like, no, there's actual reasons to really stop.
Like a real destination location.
And you can spend some time down there. Yeah.
Like I think about Bardstown because my wife is from there. We're there all the time. And
it's totally growing.
Obviously, like they have, like the number one differentiator there is bourbon, right? The Bourbon Trail. So, but I think about like, I've been here, I think 10 or 11 years now in Kentucky, and the context in me knowing things happening in Bardstown is like, so the most beautiful small town in America has been voted at least once, maybe multiple times.
It was?
Yeah. And I'm like, I know a lot about like the behind the scenes of the companies here, and just like the food is bad over there or the whatever, right? And it's like, how is this possible?
You can purchase some awards, No, I'm just kidding.
Well, but yeah, it's like to know that like what's actually going on there is just not very good. And so if you can be the different small town that actually is really good.
Yeah.
But still, is that enough? It's like, do you need that anchor thing of foot traffic coming from, they have the Bourbon Trail, for example, which is driving people to go to the boutiques. I'm there for Bardstown Bourbon, but while I'm here, I'm going to also go downtown and shop, right? So like, do you think Winchester needs something like that? That's like an anchor thing?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Instead of like a big box store, like a Bourbon Trail.
Yeah, like something big that's constantly like the destination that people are going to Winchester for.
Yeah.
And then will happen to shop at the other places.
My hope is that we can be that at least down the road. I mean, that's really like, I guess I've never really been a go big or go home kind of person, but with my business, I'm like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it.
I feel like that energy is there for you guys.
Yeah,
really,
and
I do.
I think that we have the potential. Like, I'll talk of my business. I think we have the potential to be like, I named it the Hall for a reason. I feel like I really wanted a name that sounded like a piece of everyday conversation. It just sounds like a staple automatically. And like, I remember before we even decided to move to Kentucky, I had said, I really want people to be able to come to my shop and say like, hey, do you want to meet at the Hall? Like, it just sounds like it's just a part of the town, that it's not necessarily a coffee shop. It's just the town thing to do. And I hear people say that all the time. And it makes me so happy because I'm like, this is what I dreamed of. So,
and that's so smart to expand up stairs and expand the building and the business, because I mean, people like with the wedding industry, like I'm learning from my clients that sell wedding gowns and mother the bride and tuxedos and stuff. They're like, there is no more wedding season.
Yeah.
Like it's all the time.
It is all the time.
People get married on a Tuesday night. People get married, and people aren't having the big elaborate weddings as much anymore. Like you said, if you hold 150 people upstairs, that's fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be
just real quick.
Absolutely.
Boom, boom,
like
bang,
people are spending money on party,
right?
like having a party.
Yeah.
Or,
I mean, especially being across from the courthouse.
Yeah, I think that's
really
so
have that
smart.
advantage of like, you go get married at the courthouse and then come have an awesome reception at the Hall, and
having
like,
a music venue, like local music is huge in Kentucky.
Special. We just hosted, it was kind of a last minute thing on Saturday. My business partner and I ended up just tag teaming it. It was a little after party. So they came in like just as we closed, and it was for a 40th birthday. And I mean, they know how to spend some money, but like, I'm like, maybe we'll start offering this where you get an after hours
late
party.
night,
and we were there till almost 1, and they had a great time, and they ended up bringing their own musician they had paid for. And
so this was just sort of a last minute thing that just happened?
They ended up calling us like maybe a week before, because they had a venue change. And so we were like, we'll accommodate you. And it was so fun. They all had a great time. So I think
awesome.
being able to offer that type of thing, there isn't really a place in Winchester that can do that.
Yeah.
So I think being able to be that thing of like, we can offer such an array of services of, you get your coffee in the morning, you can come hear music at night, you can really want to work towards having some sort of like cool brunch thing on Sundays. A lot of places aren't open Sunday, Monday, so that was really important for us to be open those days. So yeah, I think having somewhere in Winchester that like this is a staple, like people will go out of their way to go there, and then it can just only benefit the other businesses around it.
And I think the music scene's huge. I mean, especially like there's a couple names I'll send you that I've just over being in Lexington, working in this town for so long, that have, either provided music for something we've done, but they're just great. They're not really bookies, but like they have a lot. They are really tapped into the music scene of up and comers.
I'll take advantage of any
and
they're sort of connections
absolutely.
Or whatever.
And they, they're always like, it's just there's just the local music scene in Kentucky is really a lot bigger than people think it is.
Oh yeah, that's
huge.
I've definitely started to discover is like there's a lot of like really great talent here.
Yes.
And it's not just, there is a lot of more like country style music and everything. I think just given where we're at, but there's a lot of other styles too, and just really great musicians,
jazz, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Now, listen, we could talk all day. Our 10 minutes has become like 25.
That's okay.
Next time we should seriously
No,
go to the
yes,
shop.
we're gonna-
I want blended drinks because I'm into those.
You want what?
Blended drinks.
Okay.
Oh, he's wanting you to
For Brandon.
The thing you don't want to do.
the Brandon. You can call him the
It's that
Brandon.
like stubborn side that I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. And then I'm like,
Fine.
If you guys really want it, then I'll cave.
But you need to go on and go ahead and schedule a follow-up podcast on that link.
Okay.
So that we can do it and plan it to come there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. You can have it in my space.
Yes.
Where can people go to learn more about you, and what is your address out in Winchester? Like, where are you about in downtown?
Yeah, we're pretty much right across from Courthouse. We're 17 South Main Street. We're kind of on that side of the street. I think we're the tallest building, so we're pretty easy to find. And then people, probably the best place to find us right now is our Instagram. I know
you'll do a good job.
Quite a few people do still use Facebook, which I try to kind of post on that, but I definitely more of an Instagram girl. So I do try to post a lot. I do all of the updates as far as like who's playing for us or what events are coming up, if we have specials, any changes in our hours. I post really regularly on our Instagram.
Yeah, you do a good job. And tell me your Instagram real quick.
It is the Hall Coffee Social Club.
Yep.
Awesome.
And it's awesome. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming out here.
Thanks for
and doing
having
this.
me.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm excited to come in. I want to try the Earl Grey syrup. What was that again?
Oh, it's our
Winchester Fog.
Winchester Fog. Yeah. I'm going to try that.
Also, people in Winchester, they love anything that's Winchester related. We have a cocktail called the Winchester, and that's probably it's sort of a play on like a Moscow Mule, but that's probably our most popular drink. That one sells a lot.
Very cool. Well, congratulations. Like I said, I was thinking it's been already a year, and it's only been 6 months.
Yeah,
so.
6 months. Still a little baby, but
congratulations.
we're getting there. Yeah,
Yes.
they appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.